students. How are you? Hope you're wonderfully well at home and bucked up and ready to give your NTSE examination. Plus, later on for your board examinations, please do so. If you're still not, it is better to start. It's better late than never. So please start studying well. You all are capable of doing any succeeding in any kind of examination. May it be NTSE or boards or any other exam. So today I welcome you to a lecture in biology, most probably a last lecture with respect to the 10th standard course syllabus this year, because it has been reduced. We would meet later on after NTSE and all when we are studying control and coordination, etc., because that is for our knowledge. But let's start the last chapter in your syllabus, that is natural resources. And I know you all have studied about these resources from basically the 6th standard, but last year in the 9th standard you had studied what are natural resources, what is a resource, and how material is being taken from the environment and given back to the environment, the interaction between the living and the non-living things of the environment. All this we had studied, how soil is formed, how can water be polluted. We had studied about this in the 9th standard, and then we had also studied about the biogeochemical cycles, which are important. I would post that part of the lecture, biogeochemical cycle, as a part 2 of this lecture along with this, so that you can just go through them. But in this lecture of the 10th standard, what we need to do is we need to just revise what is a resource first, what are natural resources, and the main thing that has been discussed in this chapter is how should they be used so that they do not get exploited, overused, and finish off in the future. They remain as they are for the coming generations, and they give us maximum benefit. This is the purpose of this chapter, to understand all this, understand what is sustainable development, how the natural resources can be conserved, how people's participation can also work. So to start with, first, natural resources. As you know, natural word comes from nature, and resources, anything which satisfies human need. Or we can say anything which is useful to humans is a resource. And if it is coming from nature, we say it is a natural resource. So natural resources can include water, natural resources include soil, natural resources also basically are, fossil fuels can be included because we are getting them from the soil only. Air is a natural resource. There are various resources. Forest is a natural resource which is of much importance, trees. In this chapter, we will be studying how basically water, forest, fossil fuels, these are of much importance to human life, how they should be used so that they last for a long time, they are not overused, and a little bit more about these things. Okay, so resources, anything which is useful to human beings, that is a resource. If it is obtained from nature, it is a natural resource. We had already studied about inexhaustible and exhaustible, right? If we want to say, there were two types, inexhaustible and exhaustible. Inexhaustible and exhaustible, this word suggests a resource which is likely to remain forever, which will not get over with time, it will not get finished with time, or which will remain for use forever. For us, forever is a lifetime, but air is likely not to be over for a long period of time. Water also, earth पे बहुत सारा water है. So these are natural resources which are inexhaustible. Even solar radiations, you can say, these are inexhaustible, which are likely not to get over. Exhaustible ones are like fossil fuels. If they are overused, they can be finished, or they can get depleted from the earth's surface, never to be used again. Exhaustible, in a way we can say forest also is exhaustible, but forest is renewable. So we can divide this. Here we can write air, water, etc., solar radiations. Here we can say one are renewable, second are non-renewable. Renewable ones are which can be again replenished. Non-renewable, if they are finished once, they are finished forever. Right? For example, renewable, we can say forest is an exhaustible natural resource, but if there is deforestation, overcutting of trees, obviously forests will get depleted, they will be lost. But if we grow trees again and again and conserve them, that area will again develop into a forest, so it can again be renewed. But now you don't say that same tree was cut and that same tree should grow. No, but we have grown the same type of tree, so it is renewable, exhaustible. Non-renewable are fossil fuels, which like coal, petroleum, petrol, diesel, all these, which once if they are used, they are not likely to be renewed. How nice it would be if these were renewable, but it is not. So we need to use them judiciously in such a manner that they do not get over, and for the coming generations they are there in as much amount as we have used them and enjoyed their benefits, right? So these are about natural resources, and in this chapter first we discuss about forest, then we discuss about yet another resource, that is water, and then about fossil fuels. So let's start first with what is sustainable development. Sustainable development or sustainable, we need to manage these resources well. So this chapter is management of natural resources, because we learned about them in the 9th standard, but now we need to know how to manage them properly. I just gave it a natural resources, the title as, but it is obviously management of natural resources, which in which sustainable development plays a very important role. Sustainable development, a development or a use type of development in which resources are used judiciously and not exploited, so that there is no danger of their depletion. Their depletion. Okay, उस तरह से resources को use करना, ऐसा नहीं है कि उनको use करना ही बंद कर दें. We cannot survive without petrol and diesel, because we need to travel. The world has, the globalization has occurred, and there are so many things, so many lives depending on the use of petroleum, fossil fuels, etc. But we should use them in such a way that they do not get over. We should try to conserve them, save them wherever possible. Even water. water is a natural resource which is inexhaustible according to us, but then even though there is such a lot of water, there are chances that the water which is remaining, water which is potable, potable means drinking water, potable water is which is good enough to be drunk, so that water is called potable water, जो हम पी सकते हैं उसको पोर्टेबल वाटर बोलते हैं. और पोर्टेबल वाटर को खतरा है. What is the danger? It might get so polluted that there is a scarcity of water in various places. See, like in Rajasthan only, in desert areas, people have to walk for such a long distance to get water. So availability of water to them is a big, like you can say, a good, very good thing for them. It's a big pleasure or a leisure for them if they get water available at their places. And here, where we get ample amount of water, we keep on wasting it. So there is an imbalance. So sustainable development aims to bring a balance between the use and the misuse of any kind of natural resource. Okay? And sustainable development ke liye, see, earlier for water there was a Ganga Action Plan which was brought into action in 1985. Actually, the BOD, biological oxygen demand of Ganga was very high, indicating that there were a lot of microorganisms in it. And there is one specific group of bacteria, that is coliform bacteria, which is found in the human intestine. The levels of this bacteria rose way above normal. This indicated that there is high microbial activity in the water. It was not even suitable to bathe with it, leave alone drinking it. And Ganga is supposed to be a very holy and pure water, but because of human activity, it was getting over polluted. So the Ganga Action Plan came into existence, and in the year 1985, this was with the aim of keeping the water of Ganga clean, not disallowing people from going and paying their homage and just using it, but not letting them throw waste there in the water, or trying to manage in such a way that people's sentiments are also not hurt, but the river is not polluted. So that is Ganga Action Plan. And it starts from Gangotri, you must be knowing, in the Himalayas, Ganga, and there it is the purest form. It has magical powers, as said in our religious books, curable powers, and it does not rot for a huge amount of time, water, but because of the various cities through which it travels, it accumulated lot of waste. The 2,500 kilometer long coastline of Ganga, as it traveled the path, it got more and more polluted, and so Ganga Action Plan was developed so that water is conserved and its purity is maintained. That is one type of sustainable development. Okay, so coliform bacteria, see, there are certain questions. What does coliform bacteria presence indicate? It indicates the pollution of water. And from where does it result? It is in the human intestine. So if there are certain options that coliform bacteria, the rise in coliform bacteria in the Ganges, Ganga, it indicates. फिर 4-5 ऑप्शन दिए गए हो, तो प्लीज उनको प्रॉपर पढ़ना. ह्यूमन इंटेस्टाइन से जो related है. For example, sometimes corpses are just put in the water, they degrade, and this will lead to the rise of coliform bacteria. Ashes जो होता है वो burnt form होता है, so burnt form में इतना नहीं रहता, लेकिन अगर ऐसे ही एनिमल्स या ह्यूमंस की बॉडीज को डाल दी जाए, या विदाउट प्रॉपर लाइक डिस्पोजिंग कोई भी वेस्ट डाल दिया जाए, तो कॉलिफॉर्म बैक्टीरिया कैन राइज. ठीक है, सो दिस वाज अबाउट वाटर मैनेजमेंट. नाउ वाटर की ही बात कर रहे हैं, इसी के साथ अपन फर्दर पढ़ लेते हैं though in your book it is given at the back, but as I'm talking about water, I would continue with what are the ways of conserving water. Why it needs to be conserved? We know we cannot survive without water. 70% human cell contains water, human body contains water. So it's a very, very important resource for us, and we need to have very clean water so that our systems work properly. Need to conserve because it has been misused. People do not know the value of that resource, and they have been misusing and polluting it to a level that it can become a leisure or like a resource which we seek with like हमें उसको लेने के लिए ही बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़े, ऐसा समय आ सकता है अगर हम उसको कंजर्व नहीं करें. So what are the ways of conserving? So what we can do water harvesting, rainwater harvesting. How can rainwater harvesting can be done? रेन वाटर, एक तो रन ऑफ वाटर जो होता है आपके छत पे जो रेन आता है, एंड देन यू कैन टेक इट इन अ टैंक एंड लेटर इट कैन बी यूज्ड फॉर प्लांटिंग द ट्रीज. समटाइम्स ड्रिंकिंग पर्पस के लिए भी यूज हो सकता है. रन ऑफ वाटर जो होता है उनके लिए कोई एरियाज बना दिए जाए जहां पे वो स्टोर हो जाए. दैट वुड बी हेल्पफुल इन कंजर्विंग वाटर. देन वाटर शेड मैनेजमेंट can be practiced. Watershed management is a practice in which water plus soil both are managed in such a way that there is great increase in the biomass production. Biomass, plants production, plants बढ़ेंगे तो animals का भी बढ़ेगा, ecological balance बनेगा. तो watershed management भी practice किया जा सकता है, conserving the soil and water in such a way that they further increase the production of biomass. Okay, just excuse me for a minute. Okay, so watershed management can be practiced. Water harvesting, as I told you, rainwater harvesting. Then there is one rainwater harvesting से आपको एक चीज क्वेश्चन के फॉर्म में याद करनी है. Rainwater harvesting, there are various, this has been practiced for years and years in our India, because abhi to pani can be transferred from one place to other via canals, etc. Dams are built to conserve water, various things are done. But earlier what people had, they had the rains and they had to build certain things in their area so that they can conserve the water, and it can be later on used to recharge the groundwater. See, what is groundwater? For example, this is the ground. The water seeps down like this if it is collected at an area, and then water level होता है जैसे अगर जमीन से आप नीचे चलते जाओ तो first area where you find which is saturated with water, that is the water table, the top, and that is the distance from top to the water table is the water level. So that can be raised, and if it is raised it would be very beneficial for the plant growth. So rainwater harvesting also can be used that, and every state in our country had certain areas with different names for water harvesting. For example, there are Khadins and Nadis in Rajasthan. These have been given, you need to know the names. Kuls in Himachal Pradesh, Kattas in Karnataka. See, Karnataka, Katta, you can remember. Kullu is in Himachal Pradesh. Just giving you hints to remember. Then there are Surangams in Kerala. See, Kerala is a beautiful place. Sundargam, you can remember that way. Iris in Tamil Nadu. Then ahars and pines, sometimes referred to as pines, in Bihar, ahar and Bihar. In Jammu there were ponds. these एरियाज, इनके नाम आपको याद रखने हैं, कई बार क्वेश्चंस में पूछे जाते हैं. These are what? These are traditional water harvesting systems which can be asked as questions. The names of this, where, which is in which place. Okay, so see, even Baudis and all, they are in Rajasthan. Okay, so I think you must have studied this in geography also. So please pay attention to this part. As I had said, watershed management, watershed management is soil plus water conservation in such a way which increases biomass production. Watershed management is a management in which soil and water are conserved and used in such a way that there is huge increase in the biomass. You can say plants, crops, etc. When plants will grow, herbivores also will get benefit. So biomass production increase करने के लिए watershed management practice किया जाता है. Now in your book there is a traditional water harvesting system like this. There is a tree, like there are two trees I think grown like this. And then there is a slope. ठीक है, और ऐसे वाटर का सीपेज बताया गया है. यहाँ पे there is a band and then there is a well like this, and here there is a saline area. This is the Khadin band. बांध भी कहते हैं इसको. This is the Khadin. This is catchment area. So what happens? The rain comes down. This is just a traditional water harvesting system, and mainly water harvesting. यहाँ पे पानी रहता भी था, लेकिन with time it used to seep down in the ground, and that would do what? That would recharge the groundwater. And so in this well, the water जो होता है, the water level, this well would be recharged again. ठीक है? So catchment area जहाँ पे roots of trees hold water. ठीक है? We have already studied they prevent flood. तो वो hold water करके वो seep in करेगा. This area can later on be used as a cropped area, जहां पे crops उगा सकते हो आप लोग. छोटा सा area if the water goes down in the ground. What are the benefits of groundwater? See, when water goes, see, for example, it was here. It was gathered here for some time. It remained here, then it went down to the ground. When water is available in three forms. One is groundwater inside the ground. Second is surface water if it is here. Third, rainwater. So rainwater comes and then it will stop. It will be accumulated as surface water. But on the surface water, there are chances of contamination, pollution. Mosquitoes breed over it. Evaporation भी हो जाता है. Ground water में वो नहीं होता. Ground water में एक तो pollution नहीं हो सकता because it is below the ground. Waste cannot be thrown in it. Then there are less chances of it evaporating. Plus mosquito का breeding ground वो नहीं बनता. So it is much better than the groundwater, and it is much cleaner. As it goes down, the solid particles may settle down. ठीक है? So this is just a traditional water harvesting system which has been given in your book. This chapter I am not taking with utmost detail because you have studied this chapter. You've been reading about these things. Only the points which need to be paid attention to I am doing. So if you find difficulty somewhere else, you can always ask me on WhatsApp. So this was about water harvesting and how we can conserve water. अब इसमें एक चीज और भी आती है. Dams are also built in a way to conserve water. But dam में क्या होता है? If there's lot of water being wasted here and there, it is accumulated in a place and then it is supplied to various cities. जैसे हमें जो ड्रिंकिंग वाटर मिलता है वो भी एक डैम की वजह से ही मिल पाता है. सो डैम्स के आसपास का एरिया ग्रीन हो जाता है. कैनाल्स में भी वही है. बट समटाइम्स डैम्स बिल्ड तो किए जाते हैं, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जनरेट हो सकती है इससे. सो बेनिफिट्स तो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जनरेशन, पीपल अराउंड इट गेट वाटर and water can be supplied, accumulated as a place and used by human population far away. by supplying with the help of government. लेकिन डैम्स के कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स भी हो जाते हैं. एक तो people get dislocated or dislocated, meaning they have to give away, if they are living in the area where the dam is being built, they will be displaced, they have to move away, they become homeless. Social economic problem hota hai fir. Lot of money which has been collected as taxes from the people is used in building that dam, लेकिन जितना उसका आउटपुट होना चाहिए या बेनिफिट मिलना चाहिए उतना नहीं मिलता. What happens? There is imbalance. The people which are living around the dam get lot of water and they grow crops like rice and sugarcane which require a lot of water. But the people which are far away, which were displaced, they require water, but it is not available to them. So there is an economic disbalance, social disbalance also. Okay? So many people fight against the building of dams because of these reasons. So this can come as a question. Now talking about another natural resource that is very important, which is forest. And forest they are termed as biodiversity hotspots. What are they termed as? Biodiversity hotspots. Why are they termed as these? What do we mean by biodiversity? Living organisms, variety of living organisms or species which are living in an area, that is called biodiversity. And in forest, you know, lots of trees are there, lots of microorganisms are there, lots of animals are there. So they are biodiversity hotspots, and if they are conserved in a proper way, there would be no ecological disbalance. But because of human activity, these also are being depleted. There is deforestation. What is deforestation? Excessive cutting of trees. Deforestation ho raha hai. Why do people do deforestation? Some of them need to build houses, growing cities lead to the depletion of forests. Sometimes people leave their cattle to graze in the forest. Some people have furniture industry, they use the forest for that. There are various people involved in the Ayurvedic medicine industry, they take use of the forest. So timber is used to make furniture, houses, everywhere it is being used, and so forests are being depleted, and this leads to deforestation. But now, to conserve this is an important factor for us, because ultimately there will be no ecological disbalance if forests are conserved, because they are biodiversity hotspots. So who can take care of this? Who can? If I say I'm going to conserve the forest, it would be difficult for me. Why? Because I'm not totally concerned about the forest, and even if I'm concerned, I would not go there every day because it is not in my vicinity. So I would be a bad person to choose for conservation of forests if we think about it. But the people who can be useful in conservation of forests are stakeholders of forest. What do we mean by stakeholders? People who use or are concerned highly about forests. These can be called the stakeholders. वैसे stakeholder का मतलब है जिसका हक है उस चीज पे. That can also be a stakeholder. Stakeholders can prove to be very important. This can come as a question in school exams also. Who are the stakeholders of forest? This is definition. When it is asked who are they, you have to write one. They are the tribals or the people living around the forest. Now they use forest for their burning their for cooking, burning chulas, etc. for cooking, fire for cooking. Then their animals graze there. They build their huts there. So they use forest. So these people, if they get concerned about the forest and educated about it, they would prove to be very useful in conserving forest. Second stakeholder is the forest department and government. Forest department. These are the people who own the land in the forest and have various activities in conserving. They have a big budget, so they can prove to be very useful in conserving forest. Third are the industrialists. Industrialists, who are they? Not all of them, but if anybody has an industry which deals with forest products, he or she can prove very useful in conserving forests. So you have to write how they use in this. And the fourth are nature enthusiasts. नेचर एंथुसियास्ट किसको हम बोलते हैं? जैसे कोई वाइल्ड लाइफ कंजर्वेशन में इंटरेस्टेड है, someone who is very interested in planting trees and taking care of them just for the sake of conservation. They also can be very useful in conserving forests. ठीक है? तो many people, these are the people who are can be useful because of their works and their lives are related to the forest. So this is asked, who are the stakeholders of forest? So according to the marks, please answer it. Okay, now what was happening? Forest depletion. Basically, there is an example in your book of a forest officer called A.K. Banerjee, and what he did was, he found that even there were various efforts of conserving the forest, but it was not useful at various places. Some activities led to, जैसे Himalayan grassland, alpine forest, वहां पे graze करते थे जब sheep and all, तो fresh growth होती रहती थी. लेकिन जब एक national park बन गया वहां पे, तो that stopped, activity stopped. तो उसकी वजह से huge trees grow कर गए, and then what happened? The fresh growth stopped. Those activities have to be controlled in such a way that adverse effect na ho. Now, A.K. Banerjee saw that at various places, he was Sal forest in Midnapur district, West Bengal mein. He was posted there in the year 1972. He found that the Sal forest was depleted by the human activities to a very extensive amount, and even after lots and lots of efforts, people were not stopping using. So what he thought, if people were used or they were given some kind of benefit by conserving forest, then they can prove useful. So what he did, he used the people. He said, if anybody is involved in conservation of forest, any activity like that, he or she would be given some grains, and some would be allowed to use the forest products up to some extent, and would get various products at a reasonable rate. So people were very happy, and they started conserving forests. So by the time 1983, I think, till then, the Sal forest was replenished by a collaboration between the forest department and the people. So collectively, if everybody works for the betterment of forest, it leads to a good outcome. This is how people can be used in conserving forest. This example you can give. Okay. Some 1272 hectares of land was renewed by his activity. So this is a great area and a nice activity. Now another activity related to conservation of trees was by Amrita Devi Bishnoi. She was a Bishnoi, and this Bishnoi community in Rajasthan, they worship nature and they conserve it to a huge extent. It's very important for them. And she, along with 363 relatives of hers, sacrificed her life with her daughters and 363 relatives. She sacrificed her life. She was killed by the soldiers of a king. Actually, what was the story was, the king wanted to build a palace and the soldiers wanted to take the trees to build the doors and windows and various areas of the palace. Now when Amrita Devi Bishnoi found about this, she ran with the daughters and they hugged the trees and said they will not allow the trees to be cut down. But the soldiers did not respond and they were slain, they were killed, lots and lots of people. Only after that the king got to know about his mistake, but till then the damage was done. So she sacrificed her life for conserving the trees. This was a great example how important trees are. She gave a message how important they are for our lives. So she, after her, recently an award has been launched, Amrita Devi Bishnoi Award by the Indian government, which is given to people who are involved in conservation of forest. Inspired by her, the Chipko movement. Now this Chipko movement is asked again and again in school exams. But this one was not the Chipko movement. This was in 1731. This Chipko movement 1900s में हुआ है. 1950s के around ये वाला Chipko movement. At various places हुआ था, लेकिन one is very important, which was by Sundarlal Bahuguna, a Gandhian activist. Gandhiji's follower, he believed in Gandhian philosophy. He, in the Alaknanda Valley of Uttar Pradesh, Mandal village था वहां पे, उन्होंने मैसेज दिया था कि अगर कोई ट्री काटता है तो प्लीज hug it. So Chipko word means hugging the tree to protect it from being cut down or preventing the cutting of that tree. So that is Chipko movement. And what was it visioning at? What was it aimed at? It was aimed at conservation of trees, led by Sundarlal Bahuguna. And for this was inspired by Amrita Devi Bishnoi. But you don't write when Chipko movement is asked, you can mention Amrita Devi Bishnoi, but you have to write about the movement which was in Mandal village, Uttarakhand. Sundarlal Bahuguna, if it is not mentioned in NCERT, don't. But Chipko movement is not this one. It was inspired by her, which was later on done in the this century, not 1700s. ठीक है? So please pay attention to this question. इससे भी बहुत आता है. Okay. So ये question लिखे तो आजकल ये हो गया है 3 उसमें आता है. So this was Sundarlal Bahuguna somewhere around 1973 में उन्होंने किया था. Announced Chipko movement and people followed and conserved huge amount of trees. इसका question भी आ सकता है. Now, this was about the Chipko movement, about the forest. Now, question can be, what are the uses of forest? So you can write. And what do forests do? They prevent flood. They can rainfall ला सकते हैं. They can be used to recharge water. Or people, because of the trees, biodiversity increases a lot. Other animals get many products. Even they are very useful to humans. Oxygen देने वाले हैं. Various things you can write. What are the ways of conserving forest? ये सारी चीजें तो related है. But then there is afforestation. Afforestation means growing lot of trees. Growing trees means afforestation. Then there is reforestation. Reforestation means growing trees in an area where first they were trees, they were cut down and then again you regrow. That is reforestation. Okay, and the government is practicing a lot of types of forestation. They do socio-forestry. Socio-forestry, trees are planted for the people to use. So they don't go and cut randomly. Then there is agroforestry. Agroforestry, वो जो industries होती हैं जो use करते हैं forest products, उनके लिए trees उगाई जाती हैं. तो that specific area से tree cut होती है, not from everywhere. Urban forestry होता है. You must have seen urban forestry. Urban forestry must have seen plantations in cities and towns. That also a way to conserve and grow more and more trees. ठीक है? So this is about the forests. As a natural resource, forest is very important. So please read it. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Now the last topic is about fossil fuels. You must be aware diesel, petrol, how coal is formed. Coal is formed. Why are they called fossil fuels? Because they are obtained from fossils. And what are fossils? Dead remains of plants and animals which got buried below the ground. And due to high temperature and pressure below the ground, they were converted into forms which can be used as fuels. So they are called fossil fuels. Coal plants जब बरी हो जाते हैं and they are converted to fuel, it forms coal. Petroleum, marine animals and plants which got buried down the sea, and they then turned into fuelable substances which are used as fuels. Both led to high economic development. The discovery of fossil fuels or the getting of fossil fuels was a huge leap for development of human beings, modernization, globalization, everything. But these are exhaustible. If they are overused, there are chances that they would get depleted from the earth, and it takes millions of years for their formation. So overuse will lead to or exploitation of these fuels might lead to extinction or them getting finished, and that would be a very bad thing for our coming generation. They might not experience such good modernization things. So these have to be used judiciously. Wherever possible, we can take public transport. We don't take our cars everywhere. Wherever possible, we need to conserve. We can walk. It will improve our health, plus help in conserving these fossil fuels. So they need to be used judiciously. You can write all the techniques whichever come to your mind. जब भी आप कार या आप कुछ भी मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट जिसमें डीजल पेट्रोल यूज होता है उसको कम करेंगे, in a way you are conserving fossil fuels. So this chapter deals with these things only. Okay. And so management, you can write about them using alternate mode of transport or walking or public transport lena. These are ways of managing fossil fuels. And why are they important? Because they are exhaustible. So in this chapter, it is all about this. How do you manage them? In this, you can also write your own ideas if you think they are related to management of these resources that would not be treated as wrong. So here we end this chapter. Along with this, I would be posting the biogeochemical cycles. Please see it as a separate portion, which I have already taught in the 9th standard. Would be helpful to you also. तो एक बार आप लोग देख लीजिएगा. So here we end the class 10th course for NTSE and your boards as well. अब हम 9th diversity we have discussed, cell we have discussed. I would be providing the notes to you. Why do we fall ill in tissue? In this week we would complete, and then next week we'll just discuss RBSE. Way beyond before NTSE we will be done with our syllabus. So till we meet next time, study well, take care of your health, and thank you so much for listening.